Independence. It's a word that carries a lot of weight in a free country like Australia. Independence of thought and independence of action are high ideals. Ideals that have been protected at the cost of countless Australian lives during multiple conflicts. For the last decade or so, thousands of mortgage brokers have claimed to be independent, or words to that effect. Why? Because it's such a powerful word that automatically conjures up a vision of the Aussie battler daring to do their own thing, and most importantly, free to do the right thing by you. All sounds pretty good, doesn't it? The only problem is that in almost 100% of cases, it was just a big, fat lie. Now, thankfully, the government has acted to ban the use of the word independent, or any word that implies the same thing, unless a broker meets some very strict criteria. I won't bore you with a blow-by-blow of the criteria, but suffice to say, for the first time, we now have credit laws that say a mortgage broker can't claim to be independent unless they really are. That's right. It actually took legislation and not good moral judgment or ethical business practices to bring about this bout of honesty. And it appears to have worked. A year ago, if I googled mortgage broker, along with independent, impartial or unbiased, I would have found literally hundreds, possibly thousands of results. Now, there are less than a handful, and most of those are either cached pages or brokers who have failed to make the required changes. It appears there are easily fewer than 5 independent mortgage brokers in the whole of Australia. So what's the big deal? If so few mortgage brokers are actually independent, does it really matter? Let's look at the 2 big issues that cause most brokers to fail the independence test, and then you be the judge on whether it matters or not. Challenge number 1, commissions. If a mortgage broker receives and retains any level of commission, then they are not independent. Why? Because they are conflicted. Now, conflicted is a nice legal way of saying that when push comes to shove, they will act in their own interests and not in your best interests. Think about it for a moment. The majority of mortgage brokers promote a free service because, in their own words, they're paid by the lender. A free service sounds good in theory, but the last time I checked, I'm working for the person who is paying me. If that's the bank, then I'm a servant of the bank. And of course, if they're paid by commission, then it's clearly in the broker's best interest to make sure you borrow as much as possible, make sure you stay in debt for as long as possible, and make sure you refinance every few years so they can earn a new upfront commission. Yes, they'll dangle some sort of low-rate carrot in front of you, but it's rarely in your best interest to refinance, especially if the broker did their job properly in the first place, and especially when the broker keeps writing a new 30-year home loan each time. You are simply staying in debt forever and paying a fortune in interest. All so the broker can make a bit more commission. Hey, but no worries, mate. It's a free service. The second major challenge is that brokers actually select from a very small number of lenders, despite all of their hype to the contrary. It is well known within the industry that the average broker uses less than 6 lenders, and many use as few as 3. Fujitsu Consulting reported on this a few years ago based on an empirical survey, but not much has changed since. In fact, with consolidation within the industry, it's gotten worse. For more on consolidation and the threat it poses to consumers, check out our video titled, Who Am I Really Borrowing From? Secondly, they only use lenders who pay commissions, and that rules out many competitive opportunities. Finally, most have restrictions imposed on them as to which lenders they can access, especially when they're a representative of a large credit licensee. And see if you can guess who ultimately owns or controls most of the largest credit licenses in Australia. That's right, the big banks. For more on this topic, check out our video called Who Really Owns My Mortgage Broker? So the ball is in your court now. The government has done its job and made sure brokers can't dishonestly claim to be independent anymore. Now you have to do your part. Do you really think there is such a thing as a free lunch? Do you really think a bank-controlled broker is going to give you a free service and act in your best interests at the expense of their own interests and the bank's interests? If you answered yes to either of those questions, then I still have some pieces of the Sydney Harbour Bridge that I can let you have at a bargain. If, on the other hand, any of this has got you thinking, then great. Do your research, question everything, yes, even us. Thanks for watching.